Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are going to discuss my expectations for Ashes of Creation, and specifically Alpha 2. I'm going to go through a few of my expectations. We can talk about some of the community expectations and things like that. But, having expectations is good given what we have so far. So let's get into it. Now, I think the first big expectation that everyone has, or that I'm going to talk about, is what races are we going to be able to play? And to go through this, one, it's a process of going through what we know already or what Intrepid has said, or what has been posted out there versus what we've seen Intrepid give us in current live streams over the past 2 to 3 years. Now, we've seen every race modeled to have a 3D model of some sort or some kind of character art done for these races, but we haven't seen 2 races in game. We've just seen the updated character models and 3D models, but we have not seen these assets in game just yet. Those 2 races are the Valoon and the Nakua, the tropical dwarves. And obviously Tulnar is a race that we haven't seen much out of concept art, but aside from concept art, that's about the only thing we've seen about the Tulnar. But I think everyone, whether you're a fan of the Tulnar or that's going to be the race that you want to play, I think you have the understanding that the Tulnar are a little bit further away than most of the other races. Now, that being said, we have seen all the other races. We've seen the Kalar, the Vek, the Empyrean Elves, the Pyrade, the Dunir, and seen the Renkai Orcs. So we know that those are in-game assets that are already placed within the game itself. Now, my personal expectations here is that we are going to see and be able to play all these races that we've seen in-game through various live streams throughout the past few years. I also expect these races to be part of the character creator that hopefully we as testers or just fans of the project get our hands on here soon. We're just days away from the AMA with Steven, where they're going to lay out the Alpha 2 roadmap. So we're going to get a lot of information on Alpha 2. And we were promised character creator prior to Alpha 2. I still want to say that I'm hoping that we get character creator. And I'm hoping maybe they give us a concrete date on Alpha 2. But as far as expectations for races go, I hopefully, like I said, my expectation, and I think it's very reasonable, is that we see all the races that we currently saw in game. I think a bonus would be that we get the Valoon and the Nakua dwarves as well in Alpha 2, at the launch of Alpha 2, I should say. So I think that would be bonus points for Intrepid there. Now, the second biggest topic, or first, depending on where you are in the spectrum, is biomes. What biomes are we going to see? And again, I think we have to go back to understanding what we've seen so far versus what we've seen in the past, and then what is reasonable to expect us to see, right? So right out the gate, Riverlands guaranteed to be an Alpha 2 at launch. There's no way that Riverlands is not. I would venture to say the Riverlands is about 80 to 90% complete. I really don't see how they couldn't, since they've been focusing all their efforts, it seemed like, in the Riverlands on every live stream. I do also expect to see the desert and the Badlands in some form in Alpha 2 at launch. So that would potentially give us 3 current biomes that I'm thinking that we could see. And I think that is reasonable at the start of Alpha 2 to expect. I think Riverlands, the desert, and the Badlands that connect the desert, I think those 3 biomes, I think will be ones that we see for sure at Alpha 2 launch. Now, here's where speculation comes in, right? Alpha 1, there were biomes that, were the jungle or the tropics, and then the Jundak area, the forest area, I think was part of Alpha 1. Do I think those assets got scrapped? No, I don't think they got scrapped, but I don't know if they're going to be Alpha 2 launch ready. That would be awesome. Again, I'll highlight this as a bonus area for Intrepid if we get the tropics and even the Jundak, or however it's said, forests. That would be a bonus. I think for me personally, as far as expectations go. Do I think at the end of Alpha 2 it is unreasonable to have the entire left side of the map? No, I don't. I don't think it's unreasonable. I think Intrepid itself has said that the world will be complete by launch. So whether or not we see that as Alpha 2 testers remains to be seen. I think another good point of speculation is also we have seen some winterscapes or the winter biome with Steven in other live streams when we're talking about the Cobra tribes that live in the desert, was saying that they live in magma areas, right? The snake folks. That they showed, those NPCs, those character models, right, that he confirmed is going to be a story arc in Alpha 2. So he did say that those monsters live in magma. So I do think at some point in Alpha 2 we will see some volcanic activity. And again, this only furthers my thinking that we're gonna get the desert or the Badlands. Obviously, we saw the night and day showcase with the mage and the wand update as well with the lighting and all of that. That was all in the desert. So again, I think we're gonna have Riverlands, desert, and Badlands at the start of Alpha 2. Bonus area for any of the tropics or Alpha 1 type biomes that Intrepid might have worked on or iterated on during this time. Those would be bonus. And I think, personally, I think at the very least, we should, as Alpha 2 testers, test the entire left side of the map. Weapons and combat, I think, is the next topic that, is on the list of folks' minds or on people's lists. I think it's reasonable to expect to see all the weapons that we've seen so far within live streams to be in game. There is also a very lengthy list or a very detailed list of the weapons that are confirmed to be at Alpha 2 launch, which is great. And I think combat for right now for Alpha 2 launch is in a solid state. Again, they've iterated on combat a few different times. I think it's time to get it into the player base's hands, have us test this and see where we're at. So I think weapons combat is pretty on par with what we've seen in live streams over the past 3 years, and I would expect to see at bare minimum everything that we've been shown over the last 3 years when it comes to combat and weapons. Archetypes are the next things. The archetypes, what classes are we going to be able to play? Well, we already know that Rogue and Summoner are slated to be later in Alpha 2, so, unfortunately, folks like me who are thinking of maining a Summoner as a main, we're going to have to hold off and see, later on in testing phases during Alpha 2 when we can get our hands on the Summoner and whatnot. But don't fret, we've seen everything else. We've seen the Fighter, the Cleric, the Mage, the Bard, We've seen a whole bunch of different archetypes, and I'm excited for it. And excited to try out different things. One of the classes also is the Ranger. I wasn't planning on doing a bow character or like a Ranger character, but the Ranger showcases over the last few years have really shown that that is a pretty interesting class. So outside of being a summoner or a mage of some type, I may look into becoming a Ranger. See what that holds in it. It looks like a fun class, but my expectations are to have everything except Rogue and Summoner at the start of Alpha 2. I think that's a very reasonable expectation to have, and one that is pretty much complete or near complete as far as having those archetypes in for Alpha 2 at launch. Now, one thing I also want to stress to you guys is, feedback in any form is good as long as I've said it on other videos, you provide this feedback, where it's coming from a logical place, or factual base. It's not just your, copium, your doomium opinion of the project or of what you've seen, right? Feel free to express your feedback here on the comments, right? Be sure to subscribe, like the video, comment what your feedback is, what your expectations are, but also do provide that, somewhere either on the forums or, on the Discord, anywhere, other content creators. One thing I'm definitely interested in personally is housing within Vera, whether it's in-node housing, instant housing, freeholds, taverns, things of that nature. I'm really excited for that because not only myself personally, but my guild, we are trying to focus on possibly getting a tavern, both for the guild, and there are a few folks who want to get a freehold, myself included. So I'm hoping that we get to test this in some capacity. I know in-node housing, I think, was confirmed by Steven. The apartments might have been confirmed for Alpha 2. I can't remember off the top of my head, so don't hold me to it. But we have seen freeholds as well in a live stream preview, so I do expect to see freeholds in some capacity in Alpha 2. Again, I feel like this is a very reasonable goal, a reasonable expectation to have for Alpha 2 at the launch, is freeholds being implemented in some type of housing within the node system, whether it be apartments or things of that nature. I think that is a very reasonable expectation. Again, Intrepid does have some room for some bonus points here with other versions of housing, but again, I think from a perspective of what we've seen so far, I think those two options are our best shot at some form of housing. Now, nodes and the economy and all of this, there's so many different systems and so many different things at play here that it's hard to have realistic expectations of everything. I think there's a lot of things that we know we can expect, right? Is node stages, what level the node will get to, what type of node it will be, all the things that go with that, right? So we know that scientific nodes are going to be the primary node type in Alpha 2 at launch. So that means that there is going to be an election process. So again, all of these are expectations that I think fall in line that are reasonable, right? We have a scientific node. Okay, so our next expectation of that is that the voting for mayor is implemented and ready to go with that to be tested. Alongside that, then we do get all the commissions and the mayoral type commissions and mayoral type duties within a node. I expect those to be in and ready to go at Alpha 2. If you're going to be providing a scientific node as, the backbone of the node type to start in Alpha 2, I sure hope that all the subsystems that are reliant upon that type of node type to all be in a working state for all of us to test. So yes, I do expect that elections are going to be had. I do expect mayoral commissions. I expect node wars or node sieges, things of that nature, right? Bonus points here, I think, would be castle sieges for Intrepid, to give us those, some type of guild type of siege or guild mechanic. We have not seen a lot of updated or recent information on guilds, guild halls. Another potential opportunity for bonus points for Intrepid in housing would be, guild halls, guild freeholds, things like that. We haven't gotten a lot of information around that, and as a guild leader, that is a huge topic for me. I'm dying almost as much as everyone was dying for like a nodes preview or a nodes update live stream. I am hoping that we get a guild related live stream, or at least half of a live stream, because that is another huge topic that, again, myself and others, I think, are looking for. But again, systems, the economy, I expect us to have, some type of an economy system set up, one that also revolves around the seasons. So I expect all the seasons to be working in Alpha 2 and to be online, because how can we test the economy if the season is the same season all the time, right? How can we test the scarcity of certain commodities? How can we properly test these systems if the supporting systems are not online? And to follow up on that, crafting, right? We need more than just wood cutting, mining, and I think we've seen leather work or something along those lines in a live stream somewhere. We need all the base artisan systems to be in-game ready, or at least in a workable state at the launch of Alpha 2, to properly test these systems, this crafting, the gathering, the processing, right? And again, all of these things rely on other systems to provide them other different forms of content, right? So you're gathering, you're processing, you need freeholds to do other types of crafting and other types of artisan type things. You need all these mechanics to work in concert with each other to properly test them and vet them. So at some point, do I think all the artisan systems are online at Alpha 2 launch? No. Do I think in their base form they're ready to go at Alpha 2 launch? Yes. Bonus points again for how far we can get the artisan system for Intrepid on this side, right? And where it's going to be at the launch of Alpha 2. But again, we're staying reasonable on planet Earth with expectations. Again, everyone, hopefully you're getting something out of the video. Hopefully it's a topic that interests you as well. Again, Ashes of Creation is a huge project. Whether you've been following it from the beginning, from the middle, for a year, for a month, or this is your first time hearing about Ashes of Creation, this game truly is something that a lot of people are looking forward to, and a lot of people, we ride the roller coaster up and down, like I've said on a few other videos, and everyone is excited around it. So Alpha 2 expectations, I've laid out mine. What are yours? Drop them in the comments. Again, let's have a discussion. Drop them in the forums, drop them on Discord, wherever you can. And let's get the conversation had somewhere, right? And let's get talking about reasonable expectations, and let's hopefully give Intrepid the confidence that they're hitting these reasonable expectations for the start of Alpha 2 here. As I said, we're just days away from the AMA roadmap on Alpha 2. And then we have a live stream probably at the end of this month as well for August. So lots going on, guys. Stay tuned to the channel. I appreciate everyone, and as always, we'll see ya on the next one.